Okay, there we go. And then let's see here. All right. I see some of our participants. See some staff, parent. Okay. All right. Doug, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Awesome. 2 thumbs up. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the overview of the draft of our 5-year strategic plan for GRCDC. I am so happy that you have either taken the time to join us here live tonight or that you're taking the time to listen to the recording. We have with us Libby Smith and Dawn Valentine, who worked with the staff, the board, our families, our documents, our data to help craft the draft of this plan. And this is just a chance for us to get an overview of the plan, talk about the plan, ask questions, and learn a little bit more about the plan in voices rather than just reading it on the Canvas. So we are going to go ahead and get started. And I think I will pass it off to you, Libby and Dawn.
All right, real good. Quick question though, Lisa. I know you said you maybe have to dip out here at some point before
Yep.
the end of the meeting. And so I noticed as people kind of came in late here even, that maybe Stephen has control that can continue to admit people, and then we have that covered. Okay.
Yep, for sure. And Stephen, when I have to leave, Stephen will I'll make him host of the meeting.
Excellent.
And I think he also has a mirror recording going just in case as a plan B, just in case anything goes wrong. So yes, thank you for that, Libby.
I like it. Real good. Well, with a small number of people here, I'd love to have folks go around and just, maybe say their name and how they are connected to GRCDC. And if maybe if you're driving your car, some of the folks who aren't on camera, you could pop something into the chat as well, just to say your name and how you are connected to GRCDC. That would be welcome. So I'll just say, hi, everyone. My name is Libby. My feet are on the ground here tonight in Southeast Ohio. And I am excited to be here with you all. Dawn, do you want to introduce yourself real quickly?
Can you hear me okay? My dog is like having a fit out the window. Okay, perfect. My name is Dawn Valentine. Really nice to be here and see the faces and talk about this little plan. And my feet are currently on the ground in Silver Spring, Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C.
And then do you maybe want to popcorn it to somebody and we can just popcorn it around for introductions?
Sure. I will go to Justine because she's next to me.
Hey, everyone. I'm Justine and
Paul.
And we are parents at GRCDC, and I am also a member of the board. So, Molly, you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Molly. I'm a K1 teacher at GRCDC. And I'm going to go to Douglas next.
Oh, we can't hear you, Doug.
I am Doug Meeks. I have 2 children at GRCDC, and I'm also on the board, and I'm going to send it off to Miranda.
Hi, I'm Miranda. I'm starting student teaching this year and have been historically a 4th and 5th grade para for the last 4 years. And I will send it to Amy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amy. I am both a para and a parent at GRCDC.
All right.
And I am going to send it on to Stephen.
Hi, Steve Tanner. I'm a parent at CDC as well as the board president. And I will send it to Abby.
Trying to unmute, sorry. Hi, I'm Abby. I am a former parent and former board member. Now I am a community member. Thanks for having me.
Ooh, let's popcorn it over.
I'm giving it to Megan. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Megan Parisian. Was a parent of students, no longer have kids at GRCDC, but have been working there. I think this is my 6th year as a parapro with 2nd and 3rd graders. I will pass. Let me see who's on here. I'm on my phone, so I will pass on to, let's see, who am I missing? Sana, let's go to you.
Hey, this is Sana. I teach K1 at GRCDC.
Good to see you.
Thanks. Rachel, you there? Thank you. Rachel Harth.
Should we try?
Let's see. How
try
about
Kaylee?
Lisa? Lisa.
Oh, there we go.
Oops. Sorry, naughty.
Oh, Rachel said she can't talk. So Rachel Harth is here, our Director of Operations from GRCDC. She has two children who are alums as well. And I'm assuming that her feet are on the ground somewhere where she can't come off mute, but she can hear us.
Yeah.
I'm Lisa Nyens, I should say as well, Executive Director of GRCDC, as well as a parent of one third grader, step parent of one fifth grader, and 6 alums at this point. So,
All right.
see, I will call on Amy.
Oh, I think Amy went.
Did you go over to Amy? Oh,
Kaylee or Callie? There we go.
Yeah, hi, this is Kaylee
Emily, yeah, there
Charnley.
she is.
Hi, this is Kaylee Charnley, a parent of a student and one future student.
Excellent, excellent. All right, and then
how about Libby?
Yep, we'll do. That's me, and I think we
Oh,
just have
sorry.
Miss Gronzik's iPhone is who's left. I'm assuming that's Mrs. Gronzik.
Hi, yes, off camera.
All good.
Jennifer Gronzik, parent of a rising first grader.
Aw, I love it. I think that's everyone. Is there anyone who didn't get a chance to say who they were? I think that I got everyone. Yeah, and that was really important for us to kind of know who is in the room tonight too. And I see we do have a mix of, board members, staff, almost, I think I heard nearly everyone here has been a parent to a child there, or is currently a parent to a child who's in the school. So we know that the folks in the room, care deeply about what is happening inside the walls of GRCDC and what will be happening, across the next 5 years. So, Dawn and I have been really, excited to be in relationship with the school, and just like even seeing familiar faces tonight and getting that warm feeling, and the memories of the time that we were together there this past fall and got to be in person with you, and to be touching back in here with all of you tonight as we kind of put the finishing touches on this strategic plan feels really good to see your faces again. So thank you for spending a little time with us here tonight. Just wanting to note the timeline here, that this is, as often happens with strategic planning processes, has taken a little bit longer than we might have anticipated, as we all had, lives that unfolded across this last year. And, I think Dawn and I ultimately delivered a strategic plan that had a lot in it. It has taken us a moment to digest, taken the staff and the board here and, everybody a chance to kind of see it and digest what's in there and to get some feedback so that we can kind of put some final touches on what we're offering you. A few things that we wanted to note here is I don't think we plan to go through this strategic plan page by page tonight. We're not going to read it to you. My understanding is that you've all had a PDF, had a document, and we're not going to just like rehash it, right? We want to really tend to some of the big issues, and we want to hear from you. Right? What questions you have. We have some questions back to you. This is maybe a few of you heard Dawn talking about this as we came in, is like, that's really our style, is to sort of be able to engage with you on what you've now seen as the plan we've offered. So that's kind of our plan here tonight. I want to offer a couple of more things here, is that, as maybe you read through this plan, it maybe felt like a lot. There's a lot of action steps in there. And we want to be real clear that we don't see this as a laundry list of things to do, that we are trying to provide you with suggestions on action steps that you can take that would be in alignment with what we have heard from this community across the last year. right? And these action steps are in alignment with the feedback and the data that we've collected. You all have choice here. Ultimately, the board and the leadership of the school have choice about what you actually adopt and what you choose not to adopt. You're not going to hurt Dawn's feelings or my feelings if you say, we're not going to do that part. Right? This isn't about what makes us feel good, but what will be in alignment with you for the future. I think we really hoped to also offer, as part of one of our sort of deliverables to the leadership, is sort of a timeline for implementation of everything that's in there as well. But we're really hearing too that there's a need to come together to kind of align the many plans, or I guess would say the 3 plans that the school has: the equity plan and the continuous improvement plan and this plan. And that is really looking like somewhat of a next step for everyone. And I guess, the big picture on that is those 3 plans are pretty well aligned, but it needs to be real clear, like how it is all being implemented. And that's maybe an extra step that we didn't fully foresee at the beginning of this process, right? We've gotten some really good feedback from Lisa and Sarah so far, but we're really excited to hear the more detailed feedback from the board and from the staff as well. And that's really why we're here tonight. So I think I'll pause there and see if Dawn has anything that she wants to add before we maybe ask you all some questions.
Thanks, Libby. I feel like you kind of covered all of the things that I had in my head. I think the one thing I really want to reiterate, though, is one of the things we tried to do when we offered this to you was really keeping in mind a need for flexibility, because there's a lot of things in the world that shift and change in priorities. And so one of the things that we were hoping for, and I would love to at some point hear how you guys feel about this, is sort of offer you all more of a pathway with different sort of like specific but not overly nuanced ways of thinking about like what progress could look like, and sort of moving towards these four different areas that we noted in the delivery of things. And I just want to sort of say that to say, like, for me, plans, strategic planning documents, if I could speak this evening, strategic planning documents are living documents. They're not like this thing that you just do and then it's like, okay, we're going to follow them and nothing's ever going to change. But ideally, it's to sort of keep everyone pointed in one direction. So like we're all swimming the same way, you know what I mean? And we're all sort of working towards similar and known goals. And I just wanted to just add that piece to the back of what Libby said, to just sort of reiterate, like, don't think of this as like, oh, this has to be this way or whatever. Like, it should be flexible and it should be reviewed, and things should shift because the world shifts and priorities shift and things in different situations shift. So I just wanted to just sort of add that in as we get started.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, I'd say that, you might look at this plan and it's not all going to be done in year 1, right? It might look like a lot, but we really see this as a 5-year pathway. And as I mentioned earlier, like really needing to think about what is the timeline for implementation, and how is the board and the staff and together making some choices about priorities and where to start. Oh, there was something else I was going to say there, and then it just popped right out of my mind. But yeah, that idea that it doesn't all need to be done in 1 year, I think is really important to think about.
So I'm really curious. What do you guys think about the plan so far? I mean, is it sort of, I guess the first part is just sort of like, what are some of your reactions just in some of your roles? I will be a little biased since I'm always interested a little bit first in like what you as a parent thinks, and then maybe you as a teacher or you as a board member. Just because, without educating the students, like, you don't exist. So I'm always a little bit curious to kind of know a little bit, maybe if we could think about, like, I know a few of you have multiple roles, like you've either been a parent or currently are a parent and, teacher, board, community member. And I just wanted to sort of just hear what you guys were thinking so far about it at this point.
So I'm going to say too, I don't think we'll have too much trouble kind of like moving around the room and making sure people get a chance to talk. We're a relatively small group here tonight, but don't hesitate to use the raise hand feature. Just put a little comment in the chat that you'd like a kind of a place in the queue to talk if you are interested in responding to a question. We really want to try to make space for everyone. And I remembered the thing that I was going to say right now is that what many of you haven't seen is that Dawn and I will offer are some measures of success, right? What does success look like for each of those action steps? And that will be a piece of the ultimate strategic plan that's delivered. And you all haven't seen that piece yet, but in addition to the timeline, having measures of success for each of the action items is something that will be included. So, and we're interested in hearing from you. We'll get to a question like that about what does success look like. So, but this first question, just your impressions. What did you think about the plan as you reviewed it? And anybody can go ahead and jump in or kind of raise your hand.
I can go. There's a lot I liked about it. I think for me, the more I think about even like this meeting today, how do we get more parent participation? You know, like I feel like that's what we're kind of struggling with, you know, whether it's at a board meeting, whether it's, you know, at a SEL meeting for parents or something like this. How, you know, I think that's the thing I'm kind of excited about, like being able to do more to get more families involved besides our typical portfolio day and conferences and stuff like that. But I like overall the plan looks pretty good overall.
Thanks, Mrs. Mosh.
Thank you. You're a tough cookie, so that means a lot. You know, if I could just sort of say, like, the parent engagement thing, I think is a tricky situation. And what I mean by that is I think that the needs of the community, and I kind of picked up on this a little bit when we were in Grand Rapids and just some of the circles, is there's so many different competing demands, right? Like just all the time for all the things. And so it becomes challenging. And so one of the things that we had thought about and we kind of put in the plan was, you know, trying to leverage technology in different ways. And so people might still have an opportunity to participate and support, even if they weren't present in body, you know, like at a certain event. Like, you know, how do we think about having people do things like maybe like once a week or once a month, like that's behind the scenes and like, you know, smaller things, you know, that maybe don't necessarily go to some of like these bigger meetings and things like that, but letting people have space and place and creating spaces for them. And within that, the challenge is twofold, and that is first is a place and a method has to be prepared for people to be able to come in and participate. And so that was the leveraging technology piece, like trying to find different ways of having administration and teachers and things like that be able to sort of have like needs and crosstalk, and also building relationships between parents, you know, in a way that doesn't mean it has to be in a classroom. But a lot of that, quite honestly, about being in relationship, and this is the part where I think I don't have an answer for, and I think it's a global issue, is a lot of times relationships can often appear transactional, especially with parents, right? So it becomes like a transactional thing, like, well, my kid's at this school and like, you know, we kind of do these things for daycare and blah, blah, blah. And it's difficult for that to move from being like sort of a tit for tat into like deeper relationships. Having said that, I think the one thing that really impressed me is you guys do have quite a community and quite a few opportunities that I think in some of the other capacity building ways, especially like with the board and with sort of engagement and social emotional learning, I think that there might be some natural bridges that can start to remove some of that transactional thinking and sort of let people maybe have more space for communication. Does that make sense, by the way, what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
And some of that I think was in one of our, I think it was strategy 2. I think we were kind of talking about some of that. Let me pull up the PDF. I don't know why I don't have it right in front of me. Like I could.
This is Jennifer Grondick speaking. When we chose this school, it was because of the Reggio philosophy, the social emotional understanding that when children have this skill set that they thrive better long term. It's not about meeting marks necessarily and focusing on those marks, but understanding that we're building whole people for that long term success. And so as I'm reading the strategic plan, one of the things I think is most intimidating as a parent is, I mean, for me, didn't grow up that way. Not familiar necessarily intrinsically that way. And so I really appreciate the resources that are provided. And I love seeing words like training and providing more information to parents so that there's a feeling of being able to support the work that's being done in school. I do have to say, in my kiddos' classroom, we receive tremendous information from what they're working on to what they're learning and how we can help support. But just seeing in the plan that we're looking to increase that is phenomenal to me, because we're going through a lot of rapid growth and development during these next few years, that wanting to keep with the social emotional learning still feels like they're great voids to try to fill.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I do just want to kind of comment on one piece that you said there, which was like the training and the capacity building, which is really the underbelly, I think, of this whole plan, is like building capacity together. There's a lot I think that I was pretty impressed with just Grand Rapids, and just, there's a lot of things that you guys are already doing well. And, part of our thinking was to build on, like I said, some of those relationships and different ways of being together, and ideally not isolating anything into like one group. So like ideally like things, well, let me rephrase that. There are more burdens on the board if you were to adopt all of the strategies that we have, right? So I think the board would probably be the one that would have the heaviest lift. But in theory, though, it would help round out administration, and it would also, again, back to the training piece, kind of ensure that everyone's on the same page and that we're using words that have the same meaning. Sometimes, especially now, in a society where we love words and wordplay, we find that there's slightly different meanings to things. And they're slightly different nuance, like sort of strategies to, like, we're thinking we're talking about the same thing and it's not. And so the way that Libby and I were thinking the best way to combat that would just be to make sure that people were being trained in the same way on the same things, not so in a way that it becomes like a Stepford wife type thing, if I could say it, something to that level of extremity, but like something where everyone's working from the same definition with the same word. It's more of a sharing and getting on the same page. So thank you for that. And thank you for noticing.
Absolutely. I think too, understanding 5 years and, already preferencing this, that, other priorities do come up. That's understandable. And, but I still like seeing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love just the really, I mean, it almost feels like a vulnerable offering that you said we chose Reggio because it offers this. And also sometimes we don't understand it and don't have the capacity to hold it ourselves, right? And I think that, not every parent has the capacity to kind of like own that piece of it, of like, oh, I actually do really need to learn more about this in order to be able to like show up in support of both my kids and the school, so like really offering those opportunities for people to engage with learning around Reggio in ways that feel really welcoming. Yeah, feels important. Other
And
people who
also
wanna-
just off, I'm sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
nope, you go
No,
ahead.
I was just saying also like even with the conscious discipline curriculum, you know, like having some different trainings on that and figuring out like, what does that mean that's happening to your child in school versus what things do you like and find appropriate at home versus what things do you find are not working well for your child, right? And then how do you work with the teacher to sort of say like, yeah, this looks really good, but this isn't working for, you know, little Johnny, like we would prefer to do something like this, and being able to really have those really deeper discussions. And I think that goes back to the relationship building and sort of ways of being together.
See if we can get other perspectives just on this initial reflection on what did you think about the plan as you read it. Miranda, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I hope I can concisely say what it was that was rolling around in my head. I feel really hopeful reading the plan. I know that every year that we're improving, and so as a parent, it's real. Like I can see like improvement in my coworkers, and those coworkers are also my kids' teacher, and so I'm seeing my kids directly benefiting from some of these things. I'm incredibly hopeful that the SEL curriculum is expanding so that there's just more of it. I know that for myself as an employee, I get better every year that I work here. And so having such an intensive focus on training of me and my coworkers, I think it just speaks to the value for our humanity, but the value for the school as a whole, the value for each child's humanity, and really trying to like build us all up together.
Thanks, Miranda. I know we're recording, but I'm still trying to get some of these highlights down. Anybody else want to jump in on this initial reflections before we maybe kind of drill down a little and ask more specific questions?
Yeah, hi, this is Kaylee Charnley. And just more in response to the how to get the parents involved. I wonder how we can link the family team into some of the ways, those deeper ways that maybe Ms. Amash is talking about, getting that parent involvement. I remember my first few meetings at the family team, it was like, well, what do the teachers want? What do the, you know, it was like, I felt like there was a gap between like that there was this team of parents trying to figure out how to help, and then to hear now the teacher saying, how do we get the parents to help? So just anyway, I wonder if there's some bridging that can happen, and maybe this plan can help point that out. I don't know.
Thank you, Kaylee. I think there was somebody else who was trying to jump in there too. Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Sorry, thank you. I just have a couple quick questions. So at the beginning, you were saying that this isn't the full strategic plan, and that you plan on putting success to each of what success would look like if we were capable of implementing all of these. Mm-hmm. I guess one of the questions I have, and having gone through strategic planning previously with other organizations, there's always a SWOT analysis, like the strengths, the weaknesses, you know, the outcomes. Is there a portion of that coming as well regarding the strategic plan when it's brought forward, or has that just been an analysis that's been done behind the scenes? Or I'm just trying to.
Yeah, we did develop a report like that, and I'm gonna forget off the top of my head what month that was, but I know Lisa has that document. We certainly could share that out as well. But yes, I mean, so yes, a little behind the scenes. It didn't go out to everyone broadly, but yeah, certainly as a board member, that should be in your hands. So.
Okay. And also just to say, we didn't use SWOT, we used SOAR. Yeah. So yeah. SOAR is it's a strength-based approach to SWOT.
Okay.
Thank you, Dawn.
So that's what's in your thing. And yeah, I think
so. Doug, Oh, sorry, Dawn. I was just gonna say that the SOAR analysis, I want to say March.
Like February,
Yeah,
March-ish, like
February,
February.
March.
And then the strategic plan advisory committee of the board went through that in depth and gave Dawn and Libby feedback on that analysis, asked questions, and then that was like a preliminary step to completing the plan. So I can send you if you want to read the full
Oh,
thing, you can, but yeah.
Doug,
It was just one of the
in the
things that I
show.
noticed that what I noted, like from having looked at previous strategic plans or worked through them, that there was also that, and I didn't see it in here. So I was just curious if that was coming with the success of how to implement these or what things. And one of the things that I had mentioned at the board meeting is that I think it's important to simplify the language on some of this, because it's language that I think if you have simple language, then we're all talking about the same thing. And I think that goes back to what Libby was saying about how, we're talking about the same definitions regarding our communication back and forth. So I think simple, like making it more simple language wise would be beneficial, but otherwise I appreciate the work that you've been doing.
Thanks, Doug. I see Jennifer has her hand raised again. Jennifer, do you want to jump in?
I had a question about deliverables and, well, not the deliverables, but how we're measuring the successfulness. Are there measurement tools, and did I miss them? Do you actually survey the kids? And
so sorry, I'm sorry. You can finish your question. I'm sorry, I had a delay.
I just knew we used to use Hello Insight as a tool. They had several tools for measuring SEL programs that we had, and there were like age differences. I think it's like the youngest was like 8 or something like that. But they surveyed the kids on how we were delivering program. So I was just curious if I missed that or if that's something we're looking at.
You did not miss it. There are measures of success designed for each action step. I removed them when sharing the overview until the strategies are settled, because it seems like a logical step to get the strategies and the action steps settled before we broadly communicate how each action step, it's pretty nitty gritty, the measures of success for each one. And currently for SEL specifically, we have like a series of assessments that we use with our students. And so this will be more designing like, how do we want to assess the learning that our families and staff are doing as we continue to grow on that. And so we do have that in the full copy. I just removed them from this overview because it felt like so much to take in. So I should have opened with that, that the measures of success and the specific measures, like what would we see, hear, experience, what would the data look like if these action steps are being implemented with fidelity. And then Dawn and Libby, once the plan is, we're kind of saying like, okay, this is the language what we're doing. These are strategies we're definitely committing to. They're going to help Sarah and I build kind of that master spreadsheet that will help us track all of the different parts of the implementation of the plan. So Dawn and Libby have made some suggestions for each of the action steps, how that can be implemented, and there's still some places for us to be able to make tweaks. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Makes perfect sense. Yes, and thank you. That would have been overwhelming.
Great. Swartz, you're up.
Okay, great. So I guess my question is a little bit more logistical. I know that when Dawn and Libby visited, we had a lot of conversations about class size, resources, the physical space of the building, and how we live in that space right now. And then in reading through the plan, I'm noticing that there's a lot of different areas that are expanding the administration team, community partnerships, that sort of thing. So I guess my thought is about our physical space, and like, is that something that you thought through? Is there a reason why there isn't something specific in the plan about that? Is there something that I don't know, kind of thing? It was just a question that was on my mind about, like,
well, it's
the
almost like
direction
you're
of that.
taking us right to our next question. Our next question was going to be, was there something that you expected to see but did not? And here we are. So yeah, it is a big question. Dawn, you looked like you wanted to jump in there though.
Yeah, I was gonna say it should be in there because one of the